Today's video is about why we are not moving and what's happened to our Morso squirrel stove. My name's Marianne and I am a part-time boater. Last week I said that Peter and I would be finally moving the boat on Saturday. Well, yesterday was Saturday and we're still in Reading. Things have changed, plans have moved on, and we have to take a different tack. I will let Peter tell you more about what's happening with him regards to why we're not moving. But our plans now are to stay in the vicinity of the Kennet and Avon Canal and the south for about a month. Well, it's about another 3 weeks now, I think, till the end of June. No, the middle of June. And then he can be on the move up towards Northampton in order to get a new stove, this time a reflex diesel stove. So I've already said that I'm on the boat for a little while and that we're not moving, so I'll hand you over to Peter once again to say what actually is happening with Narrowboat Bandonian right now. It's exciting actually, but I'll leave it for him to decide what he tells you.
We made a plan, and the plan was that we were leaving here the day before yesterday, but we're still here. And that's because there's lots of things have been checked and serviced and sorted out while we've been here. Mostly on the boat, some on the cat, and then some on me. So I had to have a regular review with my doctor and a blood test. And last week I got a call back from the doctor suggesting that the blood pressure medication that I've been taking for about 25 years now, the dosage needs to be increased somewhat. And one of the other things, every time that I speak to a doctor, they give me another pill to take on a daily basis. So it's getting a bit silly now. But anyway, so what the doctor wants to do is go for 4 weeks, which is now down to just over 3 weeks, and then do another blood test and another face-to-face examination and a good check over, because they're aware that I'm not this close to the surgery very often, and you always have to come all the way back to your surgery to get even the blood tests done these days. So because of that, I had a word with the folks at Lockgate Stoves who are going to do the reflex stove for us, and I've rescheduled that for the end of July, and I'm going to wait around down here now until that second blood test and the second review with the doctor. That's given me a bit more time to do a few other little jobs, and well, we managed to get the stove out, and I managed to hoist it up the 2 steps onto the well deck.
I hasten to add that he did that on his own, this great big wrought iron or cast iron stove. Yeah.
Yes, I checked today, and sure enough, the unit weighs 70 kilos, but there was a big hole where the flue goes in the top, so I could get a hand in there and get a good grip of it. And I've got a spare mooring line in the engine room, so I got that out and wrapped it round a double length underneath the stove and over my shoulders, and then tied it when I was in a crouching position with a straight back, of course. And that meant that I could then lift with my legs as well as my arms, and I was able to heave once up onto the bottom step, and then a shuffle, then a heave twice onto the second step. Not this quickly, I have to say. There's a bit more of a pause for a rest in between each one, and then a third one over onto the well deck itself. But that meant that we could then clean up the area where the stove has gone, and now we are looking at retiling that area. So we've been looking at tiles today.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's more my line of exploration and research, whereas stoves and things is Peter's.
Yes, I must say I'm looking forward to getting the new stove now, and it is a huge benefit that the stove was sold before we've moved, because I was thinking that I was going to have to stop somewhere along the way and then sell it, somewhere like Banbury or even Leicester. But I advertised it and I got, I think, 6 responses, and the first one to arrive just gave it a quick glance over. I'd sent lots of photographs, and it just said, right, there's the money, which he handed to Marianne.
Yes, he did.
And then he and his friend and the 3 of us, we hoisted it into the back of their rather small car.
It was a Ford Fiesta, I believe.
and they took the flue pipe as well, which I've got no use for.
And neither did they, but they said they would dispose of it.
They'll probably get some money for scrap, but I don't know how to do that or who to talk to, so they're welcome to it. Yes, so that was quite an episode then, because that stove was new when, in fact, it was in the process of being installed the first time I saw the boat. Because I think a previous buyer had backed out because there were 2 things wrong with the boat then, and one of them was the back of the stove was cracked, which happens if you let them burn too hot. So this was brand new when I moved onto the boat, and so it's in good condition. Took a lot of cleaning up, I have to say.
You put a lot of effort into cleaning that stove for the new owner, and I think that's what he appreciated and why he went for it straight away, because it looked good.
Well, the thing he told me he was particularly concerned about was the state of the tiles, the fire brick lining, because apparently his old one, the fire brick lining had gone, or the back of the stove had gone, he said, and it wasn't cost effective to try to repair that, so he just got another stove.
So he's got the same problem that you had of taking his old stove off the boat.
Presumably, yes. Although if it's no good, that's easy. You can just take a saw to it, take it out in pieces.
Okay.
Yes. So toyed with the idea, and I still haven't really made my mind up whether I could go for a short tryout cruise up and down the Kenneth and Avon.
Ooh.
Just go a few miles up, maybe to Thatcham or Newbury, and come back down again. But
so to recap, what we have left to do in preparation for the new reflex stove is the tiling of the corner. Oh, you forgot to mention that when you took a screw out,
I just remembered that.
we had a surprise spurt of water, or you did, I hadn't seen it yet.
Yes.
So what happened there?
Yeah, there were 4 metal brackets screwed to the floor of the stand that the stove was mounted on, that screwed to the legs of the stove. And one of them, when I undid this long screw, water started coming out of the screw hole.
Right.
Not gushing out, but coming out fast enough. And I put the screw back in without the bracket, and the water stopped. And then I waited and listened, and well, in fact, for the rest of the day I kept an ear open to the water pump, and it hasn't been running, so I assume at the moment that I've closed off the hole. The only thing is, I have no idea why there's a water pipe under there, if that's what it is. I don't think they drilled through the base plate.
I hope not, otherwise is that why we're listening?
Yes,
okay.
We are noticing the difference, having taken a 70 kilo stove and a flue which must have weighed a good 10 kilos out of one side of the boat. It is now tilting slightly the other way.
Yes.
But yes, one of the things for this week is to cut out the grouting and take out the floor tiles that are down there and see what's going on underneath. and why there's a water pipe there. Because the way this boat's arranged, the kitchen sink, the shower and the bathroom basin are all on that side of the boat, and the stove is over here, and that's where the leak was. So I don't know why there's a water pipe under there at all.
Well, that would be something for you to discover. So that's one of the things that we need to do, or that Peter needs to do. And then the next thing from that would be tiles.
Yes.
After you've spoken to Lockgate and found out what holes they need to be drilling through.
Yes.
For the pipe work. And then the other thing is that the well deck is in a bit of a sorry state. The paintwork hasn't lasted from when Peter had the boat repainted, 2 years ago? 3 years?
Coming up three years.
All right,
now.
so 3 years ago, and the paint in the well deck only seems to be one layer thick when we were assured it would be more than that. So there's rust spots and it just hasn't worn well at all. So that's a job to do, is to get that repainted without having Flan walking on wet paint.
That's the most challenging part of the job. Is Flan is used to walking out onto the well deck to use his litter tray, and also to get on and off of the boat. So I'm going to have to think of a way of. I may have to paint the well deck in stages. That's the only thing. I've got the paint already, and it's proper deck paint. So it's the right paint for the job. It's just not lasting as well, and I noticed there's a couple of scrapes where we lifted the stove out.
Right.
I think it shifted slightly, so
Yes. So
on the ground. Yeah.
So that's I think that's probably a slightly bigger job, but with 3 weeks to go, that's something that is potentially doable before Peter has to move the boat. Now, I came onto the boat as part-time boater this weekend, hoping we were going to be cruising, and we haven't. But we have had a nice time looking at tiles, going out for dinner, doing laundry, and a spring clean of the boat, which I haven't finished. But I've done half. No, I've done a third and a bit. So maybe another weekend.
But you've done the hardest because there's no doubt about it. The stove does leave a lot of dust. And,
it really was. And it wasn't just on surfaces you would expect, like shelves. Yes, they were dusty, and you think it's grey dust, but it comes off black. But it was also on the walls, on the panelling, all round the area, on the window frames, and then the blinds, the plastic edges on the blinds were sticky. So you don't notice these things just on the day-to-day running, but it's only when you start giving it a good clean that you realise, oh, actually, it really needs a deep clean. And I'm sitting here looking, and I think I've missed a bit. So next time I'm on the boat, we'll go over what I've already done. It'll probably need doing again by then, and move further along the boat. And the aim is that before Peter moves, I'm hoping you'll have a nicely spring cleaned boat, all the way front to back.
Should be able to do that, yeah.
I hope so.
And also, certainly right under the back of the stove, I found enough fur to make half a spare cat.
Yeah, we don't need a spare cat. Flan's enough, I think. And he's enjoying a nice snooze on his chair that sometimes belongs to Peter. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all my subscribers. I do hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And until next week's video and next week,